The opinions expressed in the Brothers-in-Law show are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for personal professional legal advice.
Thanks for tuning into Brothers-in-Law on Go Country 105. I'm Larry Mandel.
And I'm Rob Mandel.
And we've been trial attorneys here in Los Angeles for over 40 years.
On our show, we will discuss current events, talk about legal issues, and have some very entertaining guests stop by. So stay tuned every week for Brothers on Law right here on Go Country 105.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Larry Mandel.
And I'm Rob Mandel.
And we are the Brothers-in-Law show.
Indeed. And you know, Larry, you put 2 kids through college, right?
I sure did.
So did I. And, that was kind of a big roller coaster ride for me. How about for you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, me too.
It's so competitive out there. And, of course, as parents, we want to do everything we can to give our kids this competitive edge for college admissions, and it can be,
and get them into a nice school, that they want to go to.
But last year, our country was rocked by that national college scandal that had parents, local celebrities even, breaking the law to get their kids into these Tier 1 colleges. So what can parents do to give their kid that edge without breaking the rules? That's the question.
That's a good question.
Is there an ethical way of, getting an edge without, doing something wrong?
Yeah, well, according to educational psychologist and founder of Brain Matterz, Dr. Tere Linzey, brain optimization and cognitive training can vastly improve a child's scholastic performance and increase college entrance exam results, SAT and ACT.
Yeah. So what was that? What was that word you used?
I don't know. Optimization.
Optimization.
Optimization. Yeah. Thank you, Rob.
Well, guess what?
Yes. Guess what is right.
We have... Go ahead, Larry. You want to
We have Dr. Tere Linzey with us today.
No kidding.
Yeah.
There she is right there.
I like it.
Hello, Dr. Linzey. How are you?
Dr. Linzey,
hi, guys.
Good morning.
Hi, it's good to be here.
So I'm going to try this word again. What is brain optimization?
And cognitive training.
Yeah.
Okay, so brain optimization is training the brain exactly the way an athlete would train for excellence. Okay?
Oh, wow.
All right, so let's take tennis, for example, okay?
And I played a lot of tennis.
You played tennis? Oh, great.
Oh, yeah, a lot.
So in tennis, you need a forehand, a backhand, and a serve, right? Okay, so those are the fundamental skills to be successful. Well, in learning, there are fundamental skills that they need to be successful. So attention, right? That's a secret sauce for learning. Auditory processing, how you take in what you hear, right? Visual processing speed, really important in reading, okay? And then memory, self-explanatory. And executive functioning skills. Those executive functioning skills are that frontal lobe. Right? That doesn't mature until about 28.
Right.
So if even one of those skills isn't working well, then learning becomes hard. And if it's hard, then they don't want to do it. Right. And they can't perform up to their potential, even if they're really bright.
So how do we go through each one of those categories to help ourselves and become more optimized?
Well,
I definitely need some optimization. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, that's why Dr. Linzey's here today, Rob.
Well, I definitely want to get optimized. But we're talking about college-age kids, so how do you do that for them?
Well, we can do it from age 6 and up. So all the way through.
So all educational age kids.
Yes.
Okay.
So neuroplasticity means the brain's ability to change as a result of experiencing something. Okay? So that's the good news and the bad news. So we want to make sure that we're hardwiring what is going to move us in the direction of our goals, right? And so we do activities that hardwire certain things that bring us to visual processing speed or auditory processing, attention, those kinds of things. And that's what we mean by optimization. So just like an athlete repeats something over and over, and then as soon as they master it, they add another level of difficulty, that's exactly how the brain trains. So muscles and brain trains exactly the same way.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Is this a program on the internet or do you do it in person? How does this work?
No, it turns out you have to actually do the thing that you want to get better at, okay? And computers, I love computers.
Sense. Yeah.
But computer programs for brain training don't transfer into the classroom. And I always tell parents, if everything could be done on a computer, then Olympic athletes would train on Wii.
Right.
So this is pencil to paper. This is, we're timing everything they're doing. We're desensitizing them to the pressure of being timed or the pressure of test taking, which is really important for kids because we don't always prepare them for that.
Yeah, do you think
sense.
Schools have kind of dropped the ball in that regard? Because I remember when I was a kid, we had a lot of time tests. You know, we were, that was kind of like from day one, you were under that kind of pressure. But maybe they don't do that anymore. And
I don't know if they've dropped the ball or if some schools just don't know that. I think coaches have known this forever, right? Coaches have known that we make the practice harder than the game, so that when they get into performance, they actually excel, right?
Right.
But I don't know that we do that for our students, for test taking. And I tell parents all the time, our kids are smarter than they've ever been and less prepared for pressure.
Wow. So
Makes so much sense when I look at my kids.
Is this a course that you take, and how long is the course?
It takes 20 hours to retrain the brain. Isn't that crazy? 20 hours to retrain it.
Okay, Rob, we got 20 hours on you.
20 hours, man. That sounds pretty good. Actually.
I don't know if I can handle 20 hours with you, though.
Well, I mean, you don't have to do it with me, but 20 hours. Now, are you talking about 20 hours straight or 2 hours here, 2 hours there, that kind of thing?
To be most effective, it has to be at least 4 hours a week, kind of like going to the gym. If you went to the gym once a week, you'll see a little bit of change, but not much, right? So it takes a long time. So you need 4 hours. We do them in summer brain labs at Stanford and UCLA and a lot of other different schools. And in those, we do it 5 days a week for 4 hours during the day. People fly in from India and China and everywhere to do the brain labs. So it really doesn't matter if we do it in 1 week's time or if we spread it out over time. Kids are going right into school. They're using that processing speed and their attention and all those things. So it's like an athlete going into season. Now, if you all did it, we'd have to maintain it. But for kids, they're using all those things in their brain, and so they don't have to
now
when you say
that.
Maintain it, what do you mean?
Maintain it. Well, so if you did the brain cards, categorization, or some of the other things that we do, and we got your processing speed up to where it was faster, right? Well, you'd need to do something to maintain that because you're not going to school that I know of,
I see.
right?
Yeah.
And so that's the difference, because parents will say to me, well, do we need to maintain this? I mean, how does it stick? Well, it sticks because kids are in school and they're using it every day.
They're using your process.
They're using the process. They're using processing speed. They're using their attention. They're using all those things that we don't, as adults, use quite so much anymore.
But your course gives them the tools to then apply to their own education?
Absolutely. And it transfers into the classroom, which is what is different about online training and the Brain Matterz program, because we do pencil to paper and kids still have to do pencil to paper in the classroom.
I see you have some cards with you. What are those cards all about?
Oh, these are the brain cards. The kids love these cards. So there was tons of research out there long before I started this program that card categorization speeds up your visual processing speed. So these cards have different colors, different shapes, different numbers, and then random pictures on them, right?
Right.
And then numbers. So if you categorize these as quickly as possible, right, and then I make you pick them up and shuffle them, and then now you've got to put them in colors the next time and shapes the next time. And so cognitive flexibility comes into play. You have to sustain your attention to do them. I'm timing you, and I might say, Rob, you have 42 seconds. Larry, you have to beat 55 seconds. And then you've got to work as hard as you can to beat those times.
Why is he getting more time than I am?
Because I'm older.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. All right. You probably could give him like 5 minutes then. I'll take it. Yeah.
That's great.
All right, so that is cool.
Interesting.
I want to describe these because these are so cool. So we have like one that has B4 on it with like diamonds or like sideways, maybe parallelograms, and then another one 3D with 4 squares on it, and so on and so on and so forth, and all kinds of different numbers and shapes,
and so colors.
And colors. And so you would tell the student to categorize them in different ways.
Yes.
So do it by number, do it by color, do it by shape.
Yes.
And then you're putting them under pressure to do that, and that's like a whole brain. That's like a bicep move for your brain.
Absolutely. Right. And they're having to perform. And if they're in a brain lab, they're doing this while 7 other students are doing it at the same time. So even though they're competing against their own brain in their own time, they can still see the guy next to them that's going faster or slower.
So
right?
you're at the gym watching somebody on the treadmill next to you.
Right. So there's this unconscious, like, man, I better speed up a little bit kind of thing going on, which is great.
We're Larry and Rob Mandel, the brothers-in-law, here on Go Country 105. Do you have a legal issue you need help with? We want to hear from you.
Find us on Instagram and send us a message. Then tune in on Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on Go Country 105. Hey, if you missed any part of this show or you just want to hear it again, go to brothersonlaw.com for all of our previous shows and all things Brothers on Law. How does this differ then? Like, okay, I'm going to take a SAT prep course. That's all I need. That, I think that's been the traditional thinking. Just get in that SAT prep course or something, college entrance exam prep course. How does it differ than what you're doing?
Well, that's a great question. So the prep course is content, right? How to take the SAT and ACT and strategies and content. Our program speeds them up so that they can actually perform to their potential. I mean, kids say all the time, man, I knew those answers, but I couldn't read fast enough to get through it, right?
So it's your brain exercise.
So we're speeding them up and giving them that opportunity to perform to the potential. And research tells us that higher functioning students need more time because they're going to work through the problem, right? Yeah, others
they're going to
may
think
just
about
guess.
it too much, maybe. Overthink it a little bit.
Exactly. So what we do, right now the research is telling us the best way to do well on the SAT or the ACT is to take a content course and then to do a brain training course. Last summer, we had someone raise their SATs so much higher that the mom called me about 4 months later and asked me for a letter because they had flagged him for cheating.
Oh, my God.
And so we had to tell them, I told them, of course, I'll write you a letter if you'll write me a testimonial.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet.
So this is the ethical edge for people.
It is an ethical alternative. The kids are doing all the work. They're growing their brains, and they're really confident and proud when they're finished. And we're also, plugging in growth mindset and grit and all of those things that our kids need these days.
It's pressure, I get it, but is it also fun to go through the course?
It's so much fun. The kids tell me that all the time. It's fun because we have the brain cards, we have balance boards. When they're doing some of the things, they're having to be up on balance boards with bean bags, and we're going from one to the next to the next. They're having to beat their times. When the young kids beat their times, of course, they get candy at the end. I tell parents I've tried to get them to beat their times for a granola bar, but I can't. So you're going to have to take care of the dentist. I'm taking care of the brain. But and the kids love the program. They honestly do. I've had parents say to me, I thought he would be upset about going every day, even the high school kids. So,
well, I think if you're working that brain and things are now snapping into place easier and you're feeling more confident, I mean, that's got to be, you feel
that reward.
Yeah, you're feeling it. But I had a question for you. Going back, you said you had labs set up at Stanford and some other schools. So are you doing this in conjunction with specific colleges?
Well, we had to jump through some hoops to get into those colleges. Of course, we had to have our clinical trials, which we've had, to make sure the program is, legitimate and those kinds of things. So once you've jumped through certain hoops, then a college will let you have the program on their campus.
All right. So is this exclusively a campus-based program, or can someone just say, I don't know what campus I want to vie for, so I'm going to just get a hold of Brain Matterz and figure out how I get in to see
That's
them?
a great question. So there's several ways that they can experience the program. They could call me directly and ask for private sessions. They could call me and ask for to enroll in a brain lab, okay? Or they could, if they're in Orange County or on the East Coast or wherever they are, then they could call me and sign up with my team.
Okay.
I have people that work for me. And then there's also schools that have the program in their actual curriculum now, so they can
nice.
actually do that too. I think the biggest thing that I love to see is that more kids get exposed to the program, because it's fun. It really helps them. And I think the thing that we're wanting to do with our kids is make them lifelong learners, right? Mm-hmm. Have them enjoy reading and maybe put that phone down occasionally and pick up a book or something like that.
That would be a good thing. Yeah.
And so you've seen changes for like even a 6-year-old when you go through the program? How do you measure that change?
Well, I use a cognitive test at the beginning to have a baseline, and then at the end, I retest those subtests so the parents can actually see the process. But the student is already feeling it by then.
Yeah.
And parents will report back to me, and teachers report back to me. So we're in constant contact about the progress, and it's pretty much a game changer. It's amazing to watch.
And this is across the board for all different types of disciplines, like learning a foreign language and things of that nature?
Well, I would say that what gravitates most to me are kids that have dyslexia, ADHD, kids who have test-taking anxiety, students who want to raise their SAT or ACT, concussions, student athletes who've had a concussion. We've even had some kids people who've had brain tumor, and they've had chemo fog, and we've had them go through the program for that, and it's been really well.
And that's
because
a segue
to
our cases that we handle.
I was just going to say that, obviously what we deal with is folks who have had brain injury. Sometimes it's something as mild as a simple concussion all the way up to where they're barely functioning. But these tools help a lot of those folks as well, right? These same tools.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It might be more. There might be more hours involved depending on what's going on with them. We kind of tailor it to the brain that comes in, so to speak.
Right.
Because I know a lot of our clients have gone through like who are injured, have a traumatic brain injury. They go through like a speech therapy program.
Yes.
But I think speech therapy is part of cognitive training.
Yeah, I think so too.
It is,
not?
and it's very much like training a stroke victim, in that you take away their strength and you work in the areas of their weakness until their weaknesses come back up, and that's basically what you're doing.
Have you suffered or been injured by someone else's negligence? When you need a legal team that will stand up for what is right, won't give up the fight and obtain justice, call 818-886-6600. Mandel Trial Lawyers specializes in personal injury cases of all types. Whether it's a car accident, product or premises liability, dog bite, or a catastrophic injury, Mandel Trial Lawyers are there for you when the fight is worth it. Call now for your free consultation. 818-886-6600. Let the scales of justice tip in your favor.
In terms of someone with like ADHD, which, it seems to be a very prevalent thing. Maybe it's overdiagnosed, I don't know. But it seems like a lot of kids have that. How does something like this help a kid like that and get them on that, learning path?
Well, so we have activities, something called focus figures, where they have to actually focus, and we start them out focusing for 7 minutes on these shapes that they have to draw, and it's kind of hard to explain. But anyway, they have to focus on these shapes, and they're drawing the shapes, and they're just hard enough to challenge them, but not so hard that pushes them over the edge, which is what the brain likes. And so by the time they finish the program, they're actually focusing on those for 20 straight minutes. So you have to start small with attention and then increase it so that then they can sustain their attention. Even the brain cards work on sustaining that attention, because that's a big deck of cards, and they
Yes,
have
it
to
is.
really, they have to stay with it until they're finished. So that, basically, and there are tons of drills that focus right on attention.
Wow.
And that
Yeah.
do you think that's harder and harder for kids to do and get out of that attention deficit thing because of the iPhones and all the other electronics that we're diverted with? What do you think?
I think kids have so much difficulty attending, because there are so many things out there
Yeah.
to take their attention
Distractions.
away.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's an iPhone or, whatever's going on in school, I just think they have a lot of distractions. And if they're not practicing paying attention, then they're not going to hardwire that in their brain. And that's what's important. We have to hardwire that before they can actually sustain their attention.
So you see a child with attention deficit condition, and you've seen the improvement where you just see this stark difference as far as their attention span?
Yes, a lot of them come over the summer to the brain labs to actually wean themselves off of their meds.
Wow.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really important.
So, Dr. Tere Linzey, we really want to thank you for coming on the show today. So tell us how people can find your program and find you.
Well, they can they can go on our website, which is Brain Matterz with a Z, BrainMatterz.com, and they can submit a form, and we usually get back with them within 10 to 12 hours. We'll get back with people right away.
Okay.
So, Rob, I think it's time to share a fun fact of the day.
All right, we'll try and exercise Dr. Lindsay's brain here.
Let's see what
Yeah.
our producer Cam has found for us today. If California were a country, it would have the 8th largest economy in the world, beating out Italy, Russia, and India.
Now that's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is crazy.
How are we exercising a brain by that?
We're not.
All right.
No,
that
that's just
is
a
a
fun
fun
fact.
fact. Okay,
Yeah.
but
That's amazing.
How about this? Dr.
Go for this
Lindsey?
one, Rob.
Okay.
We have a true or false, and what do you think? This is a law, okay, or it's not,
True or false?
okay? In Ohio, it is legal to get a fish drunk. Where do you come up with this stuff, Cam?
Legal to get a fish drunk? Gosh, I
In Ohio.
have no idea, but it's Ohio, so I'm going to say maybe yes.
Yeah. I don't know, and I guess I don't even care.
Maybe the fish.
Yeah.
Maybe the fish tastes better.
Well, it's
I'd
false.
say it's
Yeah.
false.
Okay. It's illegal to get a fish drunk. What? Well, who's getting fish drunk? How do you even get a fish drunk? I don't think a fish can get drunk, Cam. I think it just would just
All right, leave it be, Rob.
Yeah. I don't, we
but
need
now-
to get another of true or false on that one.
It's now for the Rob report.
Well, speaking of getting drunk, a lot of us think that if you're under the influence and something bad happens to you because someone else was negligent or careless or thoughtless, that you're just out of luck. You were drinking, and that's the end of the story. But I've had a few instances where that's clearly not the case. The most recent one where it was this gentleman who had been drinking, and he wandered onto this loading dock where it was a part of a restaurant complex. And this is a kind of a gut-wrenching story for me because I fell in love with the family. And because this gentleman was talking to people on the dock, they were interacting with him. They realized that, or they knew that the loading dock came right up from where the bathrooms were, where the seating for the restaurant was. It was like nothing to keep someone from going there, and they were serving alcohol in this restaurant. So, but the long and the short of it was that he stepped off the loading dock and didn't make it. And so we took that case and we took it almost to trial, and we were finally able to resolve it for that family and get them some justice. And it sticks out in my mind only because they were constantly telling me, oh, he was drunk, and they were trying to make this big deal about that. But we also realized that they were terribly negligent. They had changed the configuration of this dock against what the city had approved for them. They had a walkway that just kind of disappeared into where this gentleman fell off. And so even though he had been drinking, he was able to get justice.
Right.
And so, sometimes there's comparative fault, of course, but just because, you're impaired, and you could be impaired for many reasons. You could be impaired because of a physical handicap or some kind of mental disorder,
And it doesn't mean you won't get justice.
Doesn't mean you won't get justice. So it's a good thing to know that our legal system does have an element of fairness and ethics to it as well.
Good for you, Rob.
Yeah.
Good job. Anyway, do we have time for the Mandel message box?
Hi, I'm Rosanna from Los Angeles. I did a photography job for a woman, and she paid half the job up front, and the other half of the balance was to be paid after I gave her the final photos. I'd given her the invoice when I started the job, but she said she didn't like the photos and refused to give me the balance. I'm still in possession of the photos, but I never got paid. Do I have a case to take her to small claims court?
So Rosanna from Los Angeles messaged us.
Rosanna gave...
she did the photography
She
job.
did the photography.
Right.
Right. And... but she never got paid. She did the photography for the people.
Well, she got paid half up front,
Right,
and then
half. And
customer
she's got
didn't
the
like
photos.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she did the job. I mean, if the customer didn't like them, she could have, altered them and made changes to satisfy her. She did the job, and unless it was done below the standard of care, she's owed the money. She's going to have to go to small claims to get it.
Probably. It's a tough one because then the other people are going to say, hey, they didn't do it the right way. We told them to do it. They didn't live up to it. Oh, boy. And around and around it goes. But I think, if Rosanna feels, look, I did great work here, and here's my work, and I have the product, and I'm ready to deliver the product, but they got to pay me the rest of the money first. I think she's got a pretty good shot.
I mean, you can tell. You look at the photo, if it looks professional, then I think she's got a righteous case.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about time to wrap it up and say our goodbyes until next Saturday. And we want to thank Dr. Tere Linzey for coming in and sharing this Saturday morning with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
We really appreciate it. It's fascinating. And we could keep talking about this, on and on, because it is so relevant in light of the spotlight that's been shined on these college entrance exams. And it is tough. But like you were saying, that competitive edge, just to get that brain working, is so important.
This is a legitimate alternative.
Right.
So listeners, take heed.
Right.
So if you've missed any part of this show or would like to hear our previous shows, go to YouTube, brothersonlaw.com, or you can listen to us on iTunes and Podbean. We want to thank you for listening. If you have a legal question or a show topic, we'd love to hear from you. Message us on Instagram or Facebook at Brothers on Law. If you have a legal matter that you need representation for, call us for a free consultation at
800-310-7113 and tell us that you heard us on Go Country 105. That's 800-310-7113. And we do look forward to hearing from you next week and being here for you Saturday at 8 a.m. on Go Country. And remember,
let the scales of justice tip in your favor.
The opinions expressed in the Brothers on Law show are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for personal professional legal advice.